I'm your host, Professor Ben, and we go live every Wednesday at 11:45 Eastern, which is right now. And we talk about all things business, influence, sales, leadership, all kinds of hardships that just happen every day in the workplace. We're here to help you through those. So thank you for joining us. And of course, also joining us, we have Ari, our producer, keeping us on track, making sure that things fall into place like they always do. Ari, thank you for pulling it off. Don't know how you do it, but we're glad you do it. So we definitely appreciate that. And then we've got a first-time guest, co-host, all kinds of stuff, Chris Allen, Vice President of Sales at Augmentt. And Chris, I know you as a forever learner, man. Like you are always growing, always challenging yourself, super inspirational, and a really awesome sales to sales leadership story. So it's just perfect for today's discussion. Chris, thank you for jumping on with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ben. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. So definitely my pleasure to have you here. Seriously. So we're going to dig into a little bit more on this, on sales, going from sales to sales leadership. There's different philosophies around it. There are certainly different challenges around it, and challenges that come from the person going through the promotion, as well as their team, as well as leadership. So there's so much really to dig in here. So we want to make sure we touch on all that. But before we go into those kind of details, let's see. You've been in sales for almost 20 years now, right? And about half of that career in leadership, half of that as an individual contributor. Great success story. You've had your fair share of challenges. We all have. But what do you think is the hardest part, specifically, of going from an individual contributor, rocking it, hitting your numbers, and then making that leap into sales leadership? What's the hardest part?
Yeah. First off, that was very flattering. So thank you, Ben. I remember when I was first applying for a management role, a mentor of mine pulled me aside and said, leadership isn't a title. You don't suddenly become a manager, director, VP, whatever the title is, and then start leading a team. You need to prove that you can do that first. And I think as an individual contributor, it's easy to just get into the trenches, start doing everything and helping everyone and showing them the way that you like to do things. But when you move into the management role, you have to take almost like a more holistic approach. You need to get your head up. And I think where I really struggled initially was balance, right? Balance in doing it for people and showing them what great looks like, and also allowing them that kind of that flexibility to skin their own knee and make their own mistakes. Again, I remember another mentor of mine telling me that there's no point in coaching someone if they don't have the foundational knowledge to make the right decisions. So I think everyone moving into a management role makes lots of mistakes, and they pivot one way and then go dramatically the other way. And eventually over time, you find the right balance and you find what works best for you.
Man, there's a lot to unpack in what you just said. It's pretty awesome. So the first thing I think of is, okay, leadership is not a title. We've got to, so if I'm a salesperson and I want to get into leadership, I've got to start displaying those leadership qualities right now, before I apply, before I think I'm going to get that title. Because, and tell me what you think about this, but from a leadership perspective, we don't want to hire somebody that we don't know if they can take that leadership role on, right? Somebody that we have to now completely train from zero in the leadership concept. We want to see those skills as they are performing. We want to see that they have that commitment and just those leadership skills before we start tapping them on the shoulder or before they come to us for promotion. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, there's a couple of schools of thoughts around this, and I think we've chatted about it, where sometimes a manager, a director, or a company's inclination is to hire the top performer or to promote the top performer into a leadership role. Doesn't always compute. And similarly, from the IC perspective, they sometimes think, okay, well, I'm the top performer, so I deserve the management role. And I've seen that really, really fail, because you remove their production, right? You stop closing as many deals, or they stop closing as many deals, and they have a particular way of doing things. that maybe doesn't translate to the rest of the team. I think communication is really, really key, and sitting down with them and understanding what career path they actually want to take. Because I have a lot of friends that have been ICs their entire career, and they make lots of money, and they have not as many distractions or stressors. So really, it comes down to the person themselves, where they want to go, what they want to do, and building a path for them.
So it's not a, hey, okay, whoever is the best individual contributor, you are now going to be promoted because that's just the next place in your career. Right? It doesn't have to be that way. I think I heard you say, so in a lot of cases, really good salespeople are making more than their sales manager.
Oh yeah.
And that's how it should be. That's totally okay. We don't need to live in this world where I'm not a successful sales professional if I'm not in leadership.
Yeah, I think, some people are really driven by getting a crazy paycheck and winning deals and doing all that stuff, right? I know personally that's not why I'm in sales leadership. It's definitely not for the paycheck. It's because I get to see my team being successful, and I see them on calls, using methodologies or frameworks that I've taught them, and I get so much out of that. I remember the first commission review meeting when I became a manager, and seeing some of the commission checks that the reps were going, and I thought, oh God, did I make the right decision here? Like, enterprise sales are really crushing it, right? But yeah, it doesn't compute. It doesn't always translate, right?
Yeah, and of course that's a sign of your great leadership. That's why their commission checks were rocking and doing so well. So good, kudos to you on that one.
Yeah.
You mentioned something else, Chris, about balance. And okay, so I'm the new sales leader, new sales manager, sales director, whatever the specific title. And I want to get in there and just roll my sleeves up and just be right there on the lines with my team. In some cases, maybe being like a helicopter manager. Can we use that term? It's gonna be like our new, instead of a helicopter parent, a helicopter manager. And just like watching every single move that's happening. And then the pendulum swings the other way sometimes, where it's like, hey, you go do it. If you fail, it's on you. And I'm not giving you any direction or any coaching and support. How did you handle learning that and figuring that out?
I did both, right? And there's drawbacks and benefits to both. If you're in every deal, you're really, like, your forecast is going to be really accurate, and you're going to get lots of you're going to feel like you own part of the deal, and that's going to make you feel good. But then you have no strategic vision for where the team is going to go, and you kind of run out of runway, right? Like you're just in every deal. On the opposite side, if your head is up, looking at where the puck is going to be. I had a boss who used to always say that to me. You got to look at where the puck's going to be, not where it is. Then you're not in the deals, and you don't know what's happening. You don't know what the objections are that are coming up all the time, and you're not helping the team out with the tactics. So, I mean, I don't think there's any silver bullet to it, unfortunately. Being aware that balance is important is definitely a step in the right direction. But I think every new manager is gonna make those mistakes, and they'll find the right balance.
Yeah, I like I think the awareness of knowing that, am I rolling my sleeves up too much? Am I getting too involved? Am I not involved enough? It's got to be knowing that you need to make that balance. And for our Florida audience, that was a hockey reference that he was making. So, half the country doesn't know what we're talking about, and the other half probably does. So thank you for that, Chris. So it sounds like also, like, we've got to create the right culture, right? So the kind of culture where we're communicating with our team, we know what their numbers are, we're there to remove bottlenecks for them and support them. At the same time, we're also holding them accountable, because they've got numbers, they've got, that they've got to hit, they've got discipline to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So there is this culture that we have to create. How intentional have you been, now that you've got almost 10 years under your belt in sales leadership, in developing a sales culture, or the right sales culture, or does that happen accidentally?
Definitely not accidentally. I think culture is probably the single most important thing to have for a successful sales organization. I mean, a couple of things on it. One, it comes from the top. as a leader, you have to be able to own up to your own mistakes and say that you were wrong. And I think if you're able to admit failure, then it allows the team to admit failure, and that's how everyone gets better, right? I love the the fail fast mentality. I don't
Absolutely.
care if you screw up. I care if you don't own that screw up or you try and hide it. I remember when I joined the company I'm at right now, Augmentt, the meeting I had with our chairman, the president of our board, Gavin. He said, I'm too stupid to lie. I don't lie. I'm always honest with it. And that gave me a really good feeling about the organization I was joining. And I think that's so crucial, is that everyone is on the same page, everyone is communicating well. And ultimately the kind of mantra that I live my life by is do the right thing. And if you can really instill that in your team, it's really, really difficult at the start. But over time, it makes everything so much easier. If you're constantly thinking about what is the right thing to do in this situation, don't take the shortcuts. Don't try and get more than what you deserve. You will get everything that you deserve in the long run.
I think it works both ways. I think you're right. So like you take the shortcut now, it's a little bit easier, but you're going to get what you deserve. You're going to get the raw end of the deal later.
Yep.
And then on the other side, I think the flip side of things is bite the bullet now, right?
Yeah.
Do the right thing now and see it pay off dividends down the road, right? Avoiding those shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference. So how do you get your team to know what success looks like, right? And a big part of the culture is communicating. These are your numbers. This is what a typical demo should look like, or what closing the deal looks like. How do you help your team understand what success looks like for their responsibility when you've also at the same time, you mentioned this, you've got to, we always call it the balcony view, right? You got to know the strategy and know what's up ahead. How do you balance both?
Yeah. I keep going back to communication. For me, I have one-on-ones with all my team. We do role playing. We do a team meeting. We have QBRs. We have all of those kind of set meetings that I think every sales organization is built off of. There's certainly a balance to having the right amount of meetings and not inundating them with stuff.
Back to balance, yes.
Back to balance, right? But for me, I always start with the balcony view. Here's where the company is going. Here's what we need to do. And then I break it down. I use OKRs. I'm sure there's lots of different mediums that you can use to communicate the different actions that need to happen. But for me, I just find OKRs are useful. So I tell them, hey, this is the goal. Let's just say it's $1 million. This is your part in that goal. And here are all the key activities that you need to do. And I've recently started letting them own their own OKRs. So again, going back to the kind of doing it for them versus letting them skin their knee, I feel like we've matured enough as an organization now where they can own their own OKRs. They understand the goal. What are the activities that they need to do to get to that goal? And then you can manage against those. I'm not all about managing metrics and getting into the weeds on stuff, but there's got to be a component of that, especially in sales.
There does have to be, right? And you can't be the only thing that we're looking for. If the only thing the sales leader wants is what are the metrics, what are the numbers, and then not really getting into the narrative behind them, that's going to be a problem, because sometimes people get stuck and they need that support to get out. The flip side of this is the numbers are the numbers. We still have to be, we're responsible for them. We have to own them. We could we're salespeople. We can talk our way out or through or around the numbers all day long. The numbers are the numbers. So again, going back to, I think your theme here is balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a new leader, I can't just be about the numbers, and I can't just be around the narrative and try to get around the numbers. How do I make sure I've got that balance into both? So let's talk. This is everyone's, I think, biggest fear when they're new in leadership and they've got to go into, maybe it's the senior meeting to give their forecasting. Maybe if you can try to remember, what was that like however many years ago, the first time you had to go do a forecasting meeting to the senior leadership team, what advice would you have for new sales leaders having to do that for the first time? Or maybe they messed up the first time and hopefully they're doing it for the second time better.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking for sure. I mean, again, honesty, right? I think there's sometimes an inclination for especially new managers to puff out their chest a little bit and say, "Oh, well, we're gonna smash it, we're gonna crush it," right? But you
Yes.
have to be realistic, because and this is something I coach my team on all the time, right? Like, if you've got an inflated pipeline and half of it's not real, then you're just kidding yourself. And being realistic about what you have and where you're going to be allows the company as a whole to get behind you and help you succeed. But if you're not telling people the problem, then they have no idea. That's one of the core reasons that you're in that role. It's so important that you're realistic and you're honest about your forecast, because otherwise no one likes at the end of the month or the end of the quarter when you're 50% of where you said you'd be and you feel awful and you're worried about your job, right? At least if you're realistic from the beginning, they can help you get there. And also, a problem shared is a problem halved.
So I like that. I've actually never heard that saying, but I do like that. And it makes you think of going back to biting the bullet now versus taking a shortcut. Because it would be easier to go into that quarterly meeting and say, oh, it's going to be a great year. We're a little behind now, but we're going to figure this out. We've got a pipeline. We've got X, we got Y. And then, of course, the second quarter comes around, the third quarter comes around. The end of the year is going to happen eventually, and we've got to be realistic. And then to your point is, if we can catch it early, if our forecast is not that great in our first quarterly review, well, guess what? Now, if we can be real with this and figure out a better strategy from that balcony view, we can do something about it. Yeah. And we can hit those numbers by the end of the year.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. I sometimes have been called a professional sandbagger. I wouldn't say I necessarily agree 100% with it, but I do try to be very realistic with what I'm projecting, because look, saying you're going to hit a number and not getting anywhere near it is an awful feeling. Being a little pessimistic and saying, look, we have a problem here and this is what we're doing about it, and if you exceed that number, you're a hero. So that's my little tidbit to managers. Try and especially new ones, right? Try to be very, very realistic, almost pessimistic. Err on the side of pessimism.
Yeah, almost, I think is the key word, because you can't come in there and say like, oh, there's no way we're going to hit goal and then smash it out, right? Because they are looking for a true forecast. They want to know what to expect. Yeah, decisions are being made off of your forecast. So if you say it's going to be good or say it's going to be bad, there's going to be some operational decisions that could be finite, right, with the wrong information.
1,000%. So yes, like when I say be pessimistic, I don't mean say you're going to hit half of where you're going to hit. Just to be clear, I'm saying, like, if you're 5% under, maybe 10% under, I think that's very reasonable, and everyone will be happy when you hit over your goal, right?
Amen to that. And then there's something else that you said that is absolute gold, and even for seasoned sales leaders as well as the new sales leaders, this is super important. You said, here's our problem and here's what we're going to do about it, right? So at those forecasting calls, it's about being realistic and identifying what those challenges are, and then showing up with a plan.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Professor Ben.
Yeah. Well, I'm just picking out things that you're saying here, Chris. So you're nailing it over and over again. Because it is again going back to that balance. Like, hey, I'm being real. Here's a challenge that we're having, and here's what we're doing about it. If you skirt over it and try to ignore it, somebody in the audience is going to know. Right? Yeah. They're gonna drill you with a question. Your face is going to turn bright red. I've heard this from a friend. This never happened to me before, right? So if somebody nails you and you're like, oh, okay, you caught me. Yeah. And then now you don't have that plan because you're just caught off guard. If you bring it up, if you pull back the layers of the onion or the curtain, and then you say, and here's what we're doing about it, now you're building that trust with your senior leadership team, right? They go, okay, this new guy, this new girl, they're on it. They're going to, they have a plan. Let's stay close to it and see how it goes.
Yeah. Very, very early in my career, I remember having like 2 very bad months as an IC, as a rep, and going to the director of sales and saying, I am really, really struggling. I'm struggling. I don't know why I'm struggling. I don't know what to do about it. Can you please help me? And that moment really genuinely turned my career around, because he sat on pretty much every call with me for like 2 weeks and identified pretty much every problem. And I think it's really easy to know there's a problem and not do anything about it and just let that anxiety build and build and build. And it's incredible. Like it's almost a learned skill, right? When you identify a problem, to go and talk about it and be realistic and ask for help. And you would be amazed how impactful that is to your career. Just having that skill and that ability.
That is absolutely the pinnacle here for I think for all of us. So that example, you're an individual contributor. You could easily say that's true for sales leadership, for any leadership, any operational role. You've got to be able to raise your hand, be coachable, right? People want to work with people who are coachable. You've got to make yourself coachable by raising your hand and being willing to listen and make some changes. So kudos to you on that. It sounds like it was a big pivotal moment for you in your career.
Yeah.
Speaking of a balcony view, I got too much into the weeds and we're 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes over. Like, oh my gosh. When we come back, first off, Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot here live. Can we get you back on the show? Because we have so many more questions for you and so much more to learn from you. Are you willing to come back?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah, this has been great. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to have you back. So it's things, Ari, I know you got questions from the audience that have come in, so we got to get to those, Chris, when you come back. Also, I got a really tough question for you. I'm going to get the audience ready and get you ready for this. Coaching up and coaching out, probably one of the toughest things that we have to do as sales leaders, whether we're new or been in the role for a while, is making difficult decisions with team members specifically. When do we invest in coaching? When do we have to make that transition? So we're going to cover that when we get back on our show as well. And then also a really important one too, which is succession planning. Okay, you made it to sales manager or sales director. You want to keep moving up. What do you have to do to set yourself up for that trajectory in your career? So we got a lot of stuff to talk about, Chris, when you get back.
Amazing. I can't wait.
Awesome. All right. Can't wait either. We'll see you then. Thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you guys answering those questions. We didn't get to many today, but we will get to them in our next episode for sure. And be sure to tune in next Wednesday at 11:45 Eastern. Take care, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.